This is the RPM Podcast, starring Eric Brennan.
Tip of the cat to you. Not the cat, but the cap. Production.
Nope.
Porsche was favored to win the pole.
Wrong.
As we get set to dive into our short track segment to wrap up.
Wrong again.
I may not even know the exact,
Oops.
I didn't even know how to say it. Wow, what is wrong with me? Hello, everybody, and welcome to the RPM Podcast. Sam, I just opened up your thing. Oh, my goodness. We got Sam Ballard Jr. live from the University of North Carolina in Charlotte. Neil Rutt III is back. We missed him after a week.
Missed you guys, too.
We're all off the rails.
It's going to be a bad episode.
Of course, Josh Matthews is here, batting 1,000. Josh, you've been on every show that we've ever done.
Yeah.
Ever. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I missed half of one episode. It was you and Graham talking for an hour, and then I joined in and we talked another hour.
It's tough without you. I don't know where I'd be without you.
I know.
Because you do all this. I can't do this.
Yeah, because you plugged the thing into the wrong hole.
Wouldn't be the first time.
I knew one of them would have it. Of course, it was Neil, though, and not the other man joining us tonight, JC Duvall, driver the number 12 four-cylinder at Wall Stadium Speedway. What's up, JC?
Nothing much. How you doing, everybody?
Good. So now, we were kind of hashing this out off air earlier, and I've grown comfortable saying it, but we talked about it at the live show at the Chapter House in Daytona. The term Rican Rocket, the name which you've given your race car, in such a politically correct world, there's a lot of meaning behind it. And I just want to give you a forum to kind of explain it once again. That way, I'm not having people with raised eyebrows looking at me when I'm saying, here comes the driver, the Rican Rocket, JC Duvall.
That's not why they're looking at you like that.
Touche. But now, what the name behind the car, what is it all about?
Yeah, it's just my friends and I, when I decided to go racing, we were talking about it. I'm obviously born and raised in Puerto Rico, and that's my heritage from the islands. And one of my friends, Eddie, always said, the Rican Rocket when we were talking about the car, because everybody, my friends call me the Rican, and I'm proud of it. That's where I come from.
Right.
And so we stuck, and we used it for the car. It's on the visor of the car, and Rican Rocket. It's on the T-shirts. Everybody loves it. It's catchy. It's stuck.
It's really catching on, and I mean There you go. We actually have Neil sporting the shirt today.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I was listening to another podcast today talking about hitting certain demographics and why Bubba Wallace needs to be here and why Danica Patrick needs to be here. And I think honestly for you, even though it's on a smaller platform with Wall Stadium, only having maybe 5,000 people for like Turkey Derby or something like that, it's 5 or 6 usually the number they hit. You're kind of tapping into that demographic as well, being able to promote that, that's who you are, that's what you represent. And that's something that I'm sure you take a little bit of pride in.
Absolutely. We like what we do, but we also always want to be proud of where we come from. It's nice that I've been welcomed by everybody in this community as if I was just another person from around here.
And that's why we love you and we love having you. But real quick, I know that Puerto Rico was just hammered with all the recent storms and everything. Your whole family's okay and everybody's doing well?
Yes, it took about 9 days before we were able to talk to everybody back home. But we have my family was very well prepared for the storm. Everybody's doing all right.
That's good to hear. We were thinking about them for sure.
Yeah, thank you.
Now, as tough as it is to shift from something like that to all the fun and games that we have playing with race cars, Sam, you were actually at the Cup race in Charlotte this Sunday. From a television standpoint, I thought it was good. What was it like to be there? What was the facility like? And I mean, you were at Dover with us in the spring or early summer. Where did Charlotte compare to that? How was it overall?
Oh, I've been to Daytona, Pocono, Richmond, Eldora, Dover, and I think now Charlotte. I think Charlotte's probably the best racing facility I've ever been to.
How's bragging camp going?
I was waiting for that. Now, do you think it was because of that substance they put on the surface itself, or
No. I'm not talking about the track. I'm talking about the fan point, sitting in the grandstands and the hot dogs and crap like that. The racing sucked.
All right. Well, now, a lot of people call it a home track for the teams. Did you get that vibe from the grandstands? Can you tell?
Yes, Charlotte Motor Speedway is my hometown track now. Say that 3 times fast. It is about 10 minutes from my school, and I love every second of it. Eric Brennan, the race was so boring, I stayed for an hour and left.
Really?
Yep.
Is that the truth? I didn't know that.
I didn't want to tell you that until the air. Yep, I stayed for an hour and left.
Because I thought from watching it on TV, and I don't know how you guys feel, I thought the racing itself was decent, but I don't know how I feel about the reasoning why. Now, JC, I don't know if you had a chance to watch the race.
I watched some of it. Most of it.
And to me, the biggest thing that jumped out was the rebound that Truex had, which I think a lot of people were writing him off in that first stage.
I was one of them. I absolutely. I was listening to his conversation with his crew chief. They aired some of it at the beginning of the race, and they were saying how bad they were struggling. And they've been such a dominant team the whole year. It was weird for them to find themselves early in the race with a car that they didn't know how to go about it, and then they were all baffled and confused. Like, what should we do now? This car is not doing what we thought it was going to do, and now here we are. They were lost. They were outside the top 10 in the first. What is it? Section?
First segment. Segment stage.
I didn't know where you were going.
I always want to call it segments because that's what they call the All-Star race, and now they call them stages, which,
same stuff.
And we do segments on the show, so.
Yeah, so that's, I don't know, segment always works for me.
Yeah, I like it.
Now, as far as the competition itself, they tried to spray that PJ1, which that's a second different type of substance, and I wish that somebody would be smart enough.
It was first VHT, right?
Yeah, I wish somebody would do a compare and contrast and the difference between the two of them because I don't know. But they sprayed like the third and fourth groove of the track, and apparently they screwed up on Friday. They sprayed the top layer, and then they never put anything on it. They just allowed the syrupy substance to sit, which, if I could be wrong, I believe that's what they do for the indoor stuff. They just spray it at like a little bug
They spray
sprayer.
it during like intermissions.
Yeah.
They just spray it and they're like, okay, turn the fans on.
Apparently, in order for this stuff to work, you have to spray it and then put rubber on it. So they run that tire thing around there. And I'm going to credit the guys from Door Bumper Clear for explaining that that's what they did at all the other tracks. Kentucky, I forget where else.
Did they do it at New Hampshire?
Yeah, that's, I know
I got
Bristol
you.
was another one. So apparently they didn't rubber it in. So the cars hitting the track for the first time was when they actually got on there, and it was like ice. And that's why we had all the wrecks. Kyle Busch, Earnhardt Jr., a couple of guys. Keselowski
Yeah, but still,
spun.
everyone still went to the top side.
Yeah, they were still
You
trying
saw
to
more
run
cars on the top than the bottom.
in the sticky stuff per se, but it wasn't ready. And then I think, with all the rain that they had, from Friday night, Saturday, they got the Xfinity racing Saturday night. I don't think they touched it again. But I don't know if that's the road you need to go to try to make the racing exciting. And according to somebody who was there, like Sam, it wasn't.
An hour and a half.
So
VHT and PJ1 is the same stuff.
same exact substance.
Yes.
So I wonder what the difference is.
Maybe the
There-
manufacturer.
There is none. It says right here on Wikipedia, because everything on Wikipedia is true. PJ1 track bite, formerly known as VHT track bite, or simply VHT. So it says it's the same thing. Typically black in color and produces crappy racing.
Is that really what it says on Wikipedia, or you just
No, no. I'm just adding what the facts are.
He added that to the Wikipedia.
Yeah, that's the power of Wikipedia, I guess.
Now the rebound that Truex had, all racing product aside, I think it was one of the most impressive things that he's done all year.
Did you never mind. I want to keep it clean.
What? Go ahead. We can. We got a censor button.
Oh,
Sorry, Josh.
no, we
I like
don't.
Josh. I like Josh.
No, I don't know. I think the racing product wasn't terrible. It wasn't the best race, but it was interesting to see that the high line was working pretty well, but not on the restarts. The low, if you were on the inside on the restart, you usually got a better jump, but going into once you got to the turns, the high line actually could kind of come back, and I think that evened it out a little bit.
Did the TV stuff show any of the Jamie McMurray and Kyle Busch battle at the end of the first station or
They
segment, whatever
showed
it
a
is?
lot of Jamie McMurray.
Yeah, McMurray
I mean,
got
That
a
was
lot
a
of
big
TV
story
time.
of him being up there.
Yeah.
Because that was some of the best racing that track's had in a long time between those two guys.
The problem is, I think the stuff works too good. I think once it comes in, everybody ends up running the same line, and then it's no different than if they never put it on the track and everybody ran the bottom. They're just
Why are they putting it on the track? This is a day race. Shouldn't
Why
the
are
day
they
races
putting
be
it on the
slick and
track
stuff?
on a playoff race?
yeah. I mean,
JC's right.
and that's another thing. You actually hit on a really good point, JC. Is do you really want to start experimenting with all this stuff when it matters most?
Absolutely, yeah. That's my question.
And I mean, granted, the best of the best should be able to adapt to any type of circumstance and condition, but is it really fair to throw a curveball like this to something that they may not do going forward. I mean, they got a couple mile and a half
What if
tracks
the rookie
left.
driver's just like, oh, we don't know what this syrup is, and we go into the corner and we just slide right into the wall and
That
take out
could-
all the playoff guys?
That could have backfired and been a horrible race if that whole thing went wrong.
Mhm.
And then
But I think everybody knows that going. Think about it when they put Speedy Dry down, and they clean up as best they can. But once the cars run through it on that first lap, whether it be a short track or Daytona,
You can't see.
there's a big cloud, and if you're in the back, you don't know if they're wrecking or if that's just dust coming up. So I mean, it's confusion for the drivers either way, and you have to be kind of prepared and know how to react to it. You get caught up in it or you don't, and I think that's part of the fun of the gamble that you take.
The problem of the syrup too is there's no consistency. Like if they tell these guys, hey, we're going to use this for every race until the end of the season, then I'm okay for it. But then they should be putting it on the apron at Talladega so they get the most forward grip coming out of pit road. That make it a real race. But besides that, there's no consistency with them using it. Martinsville, Bristol, Charlotte Motor Speedway. I mean,
I
what are they
think
going to use?
they're
it
going
on?
by where their fan counts are down. Because now I will say this, regardless of the racing product this weekend, those stands looked empty.
Oh, it was empty.
Yeah, and that's weird considering the fact that we just said it's kind of like a hometown race for all the teams, and
weather was crappy too, so I don't know how much that affected.
that could have drove a lot of people away.
Yeah.
That's
The
true.
prices didn't help either. It was $60. I was going to take my roommates, but it was $60 to go. I got a free ticket, so that's why I went. I mean, I wouldn't have won if I would have. I wasn't pay $60 to go watch him race on Aunt Jemima pancake syrup.
Well, racing product aside, Truex ended up rebounding and getting the win. And again, another emotional victory lane interview by Truex as his girlfriend, Sherry Pollux, wasn't able to be there because she had chemo treatments on Monday. The Truex storyline, we all know how big it is here in the state of New Jersey, right? And of course for Wall, with Truex and the Truex name, used to race for quite some time, and they still do with Tyler winning the Sportsman Championship. That storyline itself, and Sam, maybe I could ask you this first, being that this is, you were kind of there, and you're in that environment. Does the Truex name and Truex having success, does it resonate down there as well as much as it does up here?
Nope. Nope.
to the point.
He's the new Kyle Busch.
Really?
Really?
Is that the road that it's going down?
Do
Now,
they boo him as much?
they don't dislike him because of his arrogance, because Martin Truex Jr. doesn't have it. They dislike him because he's good and he's ruining the races.
Because he's winning everyone.
Because he's driving
Yep.
a Toyota.
Now, I think part of
That
it
too.
is the whole.
JC's right on that one too. He left Junior. Oh my gosh, he's going to hell.
Yeah. No, I was going to say the whole story with his girlfriend Sherry and the whole cancer deal and all that. I think that's made people a little bit less. They don't dislike him as much. Like they'll say the 78 is cheating and things like that, but they won't call him a d-bag the same way that they did with Kyle Busch. I think.
Well, he doesn't act like a d-bag though. I mean,
Well,
come
that's
on.
part of it.
No, but
Take
think,
out-
all right,
He's
but
humble in
here's
victory
the
lane.
perfect example. Jimmy Johnson. I mean, a lot of people started to hate that Jimmy Johnson was winning as much as he was. And,
Now he
I mean, let's
can't get a
face
win.
it, Johnson is not a bad guy. I mean, he doesn't do anything questionable. He's a sponsor's dream. That's why Lowe's has stuck with him his whole career. And I think Truex is starting to get in that same point where I just think as a culture, as a country, we don't like seeing people do well that long. I mean, Truex has not done anything for us to not like, except maybe put the poo-poo on a couple of races that we're watching. So aside from that, I don't understand how you can root against the guy. So,
Well,
are
I
you
mean-
laughing at my choice of words?
Yeah, that was strange.
I'm just saying.
Jimmy Johnson is doing crap this season, and look how everyone's upset about it. I mean, as whether you like him or not, no one wants to see a 7-time champion suck as hard as he is this season.
I don't.
Well, it's like watching the Yankees fall from grace. I mean, now that they're doing well again, it's like, okay, all's right in the baseball world again. The
Who
Yankees
gives a
are-
freak about the Yankees?
Thank you,
No,
Sam.
but it's the point that we're making. It's you're used to seeing the 48 on top, and beating them was a big deal. Now beating the 48's not a big deal, and the 78's on top all the time, and people are starting to get numb to the idea.
I think Jimmy Johnson's success didn't come from straight winning. I mean, 06 and 07, yes, but everything else, I mean, Jimmy fought his ass off and drove his ass off to get those wins. You see now Kyle Busch and Truex just drive away with these wins and say, peace out.
Well,
bitches.
you mentioned Kyle Busch, and it looked like he was going to be one of those contenders for the win until the back end stepped out on him. He got into the wall just like it did in practice on Friday. And, JC, I know that you love Kyle Busch, his demeanor and his drive and his determination and his talent.
2 weeks in a row we got Kyle Busch fans on.
How much – that's a good point because Joey's a Kyle supporter as well.
Who's next week?
The biggest thing with Kyle was the fact that he toughed it out throughout that race, and he looked like he was hurting at the end of that one.
That's what I was saying. I believe with like 40 laps to go, he was already radioing in saying, when the race is over, I'm going to need help.
Yeah.
He was hot in the car. He was breathing in CO2 and all that
They
stuff.
said it was double digits, the CO2 count.
Yeah,
but that's what playoff racing brings to the table. Any other day, he would have stopped and parked the car and we'll race another day. Now you have to finish the race because you don't want to give up. He came into the race like 48 points to the good, leading the playoff points.
Now he's got 12. He's only got a 12-point advantage.
going into Talladega.
Yeah, going into you have to finish these races. So
Now, to me, that's like one of the biggest hidden dangers of motorsports driving. It's no different than, people who start their car in their garage and they don't realize what they're doing. It's when you break in some of these crush panels in these cars, you're really subjecting yourself to a problem. And a lot of people don't remember that Rick Mast's racing career, even though he was at the tail end of it, ended because of how much carbon monoxide he inhaled. And the doctors told him, your body can't really take much more of this. And he still has lasting effects from it. My
King
question,
Richard Petty's still suffering from it.
Not for nothing. This wasn't as badass as Ricky Rudd's win on in Martinsville when he was passed out on the ground giving interviews in Victory Lane. Kyle Busch is a badass, but he's not that badass.
Well,
so it's not that big of a deal.
Here's my other question, though, and I'll pose it to all of you, and I guess, Josh, we'll start with you. Is this something which you think that the sanctioning
Ladies
body...
first.
No, because you've been quiet for a little bit. Should the sanctioning body step in and kind of prevent this? If your car is that badly damaged because of the risk of this happening, should they tell you, maybe you should park it anyway? Should it be a driver's decision? Should it be a team's decision? Or is it just something that comes with the territory of being a race car driver?
All right, there's a few different ways to go with it, and I think you want the drivers to be safe, but where do you draw the line? And at what point when we talked about this with the whole concussion, speak, the driver might hide it because he doesn't want to be. Kyle Busch would have, he would
100%.
He would have lied about it because he would want to finish and keep the points.
Yep.
So I don't think there's a good way to police it. I would like to see it not happen. I've had it where, as well as other drivers, where we're sitting down, filed up, waiting to do our pace lap, so we have no air flowing through the car, and you're just sitting there, and it's nothing but fumes. And you can actually almost start to get a little bit lightheaded down there.
Yeah.
But if you get maybe a blower, which all these drivers usually have, the little air blower, so they just have to put it in a spot where hopefully they can get, clean air coming in, and I think that would help. But depending on where that's placed, you probably put a few rules as to placement of air ducts and such, and try to mitigate this a little bit. But I don't. There's no real way to police it.
Now, Neil,
until you go all electric, Formula E.
Linking back to what Josh said, is this something that you think about, long term? And if you are feeling a little bit woozy, are you the kind of person who's going to say, what, I got to get out of this car and worry about my long term health, or you're not getting out of that thing?
I feel like it's like every driver. There's some drivers that are like how we were talking off air. Hey, I'm thinking about before I get onto this track, how am I going to get out if something goes wrong? Mm-hmm. Then there's drivers that just say, okay, it happens. That car's on fire, that you're not worrying about that going into the race. You're just worrying about, okay, I'm going to go run, finish this way, finish that way.
So which are you?
Go out there and run.
I pulled him out of his car twice, exhausted.
And I finished the race. I
Passed
finished.
out. Once was this year, right?
I'm going to quote Joey Bailey
Shaking.
from last week. And Neil, I love you, but this is describing you. You're young and dumb.
I said that. I said that the first time I was on the show. I said I'm young and dumb.
Yeah. So it kind of applies. But
I feel like at the beginning of every race, you sign that waiver, even though if you're not really signing a waiver, you know what I mean?
Right.
You sign that waiver saying,
it's
I'm
an
doing this
acceptance
stupid
of the risk.
this stupid
Yeah.
sport, this stupid event. I could possibly die, be hospitalized. And we do it because we love it.
I don't like to play the what-if game, but hypothetically, let's just say that Kyle was in that car too long, became too sick to compete next weekend. Do you place blame on anybody for that? Or does Kyle just have to
Place
wear it
blame
on
on
his
him. So
Well, it looks like Matt Tiff might have a ride then this Sunday.
Just hypothetical, if that was to happen, and
I think he would have taken the blame for it because being the way he is, passionate as he is, he wouldn't want
You wouldn't get
anybody
out of
to
that
tell
car.
him.
Now, no,
stop.
that's coming from a Kyle Busch fan.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, but I believe
Absolutely.
him because if someone told me, if someone
He's
radioed
so
over the
hard-headed,
race
he'll die
and
in
said,
there.
"Hey, you got to get off the track. Your levels are too high," I would have. You know what I did? Click the radio off.
Yeah.
And kept going. Because that's just like I said. That's what we do. We just love doing it.
Yeah, until
But then
they
there's
get,
two different people. There's people that would say, "Okay, yeah, take the smart road," and then there's people that say, "Okay, I don't care if I die."
when you get to a point where you look at like a astronaut or something like that, where they're monitoring their heart rate and oxygen levels and stuff like that.
like the biometrics of it all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you could do that, and in the same way we see the throttle and brake input and stuff like that, if they could relay that and monitor that with the driver, if, just like alcohol, if you're over whatever percent, that's it.
Not for nothing. I agree with JC and Neil there. However, I think if he was winning the race, he probably would have stayed out. But was he running 32nd, 31st? And if that would have happened, he probably would have said, "All right, guys, this isn't worth
Well,
losing the
But if
championship."
he
He's trying to
doesn't
get all those
finish-
points.
Yeah, if he doesn't finish, he's
It's
potentially
playoff bound.
out of the.
Yeah, but they have Talladega next weekend, and then
Yeah,
Kyle
yeah,
Busch is
Talladega.
probably good at the other place after Talladega, wherever
No,
they're
you're
going
gonna
after
see
that.
Keselowski's gonna win because he wins all the time at Talladega.
Danica may win Talladega. That's the kind
Yeah.
of race that is.
Look
That
at
would-
Ricky
that would be a good
Stenhouse. He won.
storyline.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Now moving over to the other
take one
Bush,
wreck.
the other Bush in the Cup Series, that is. I just want to say that I think what Kurt Busch did after the race is something in which all short track drivers should take note of. He slid up.
What did I do?
He what?
No. Eric
He
said
was gonna
something,
swing at me.
DMs.
Eric said something stupid, and I'm like resisting.
You,
pointing it out.
it's not abnormal for me to say something stupid.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to go there.
Late in the
I feel
race,
like I know
Kurt
what you're gonna
Busch
say.
slid up into the left side of Kyle Larson, ended up ruining both their days, more so Kurt than Kyle, because Larson was able to rebound a little bit. But right after the race, walked right up to Larson in the heat of the moment and apologized for getting into him and took full responsibility for it.
On live television.
On live and Kelly Stavist, who I am not a huge fan of her reporting. I think she did a good job by sticking the microphone right in there so we could hear exactly what Kurt was saying.
Nice
And-
job sticking it right in there.
Yes. I think that is the classy thing that you need to do. No texting later on, no Facebook message saying, "I'm sorry for getting into you, ruin your day." He walked right up to a man. Now,
tweeting
granted,
about someone's
Kurt's a lot
ex-wife.
older than Kyle is, so, he didn't have to worry about Kyle roughing him up or anything like that. But that's something I think that everybody should take note of. I told Josh this, and he said Larson shouldn't even be out on the track.
Yep.
So that was,
Larson was in the way. He shouldn't have been up there.
he was racing for a spot. So.
And before we get off of the NASCAR stuff, we have to say Merry Redneck Christmas. It's
It's Earnhardt Jr.'s birthday.
yeah.
And in fact,
Oh yeah.
they're going to make race day at Talladega on October 15th, Dale Earnhardt Jr. Day in Alabama.
Oh, God.
The Alabama governor has signed off on that.
I could have swore they already had that in Alabama. I guess they have 2 days now.
In the what the hell were they thinking category, I am furious over what happened in the Xfinity race Saturday night and also Saturday afternoon with the NBC display car.
Stab yourself.
If you're not familiar with what happened, Eric Jones took the place of Jeff Burton to drive the NBC car around the track where they offer a little bit of a view in order to
That's
see what
because
the
Jeff
track looks
Burton
like.
doesn't go all the way to the fence.
Well,
you got
yeah,
a hothead kid's like, okay, I'm going to go right to the fence. Scare
Yeah.
these people here.
they had a set of stairs
Glasses.
that allow people to walk over the outside retaining wall from the grandstands,
Just destroyed it.
and Jones hit it. He hit it with the right front fender, and I mean, again,
Destroyed the roof, too.
yeah. Thankfully, nobody was really in the grandstands when it happened, and the way that this thing was made, it was just an aluminum set of stairs. It just kind of fell apart. And
Yeah, but you're
which-
hitting at like almost 200
Yeah.
miles per hour.
And apparently, they duct taped this thing back together
it went out for more laps.
and used it. So that's number one. Number two, the display board, which shows the number of the car being black flagged, fell off the flag stand under green in the Xfinity race on Saturday night. How
hit
these
that?
two things happen in one day, I don't know.
Okay, now this sounds
you
like
said
it's.
Charlotte was a nice facility.
Yeah.
That would have been bad.
I think
That was Sunday. I don't know what the hell happened on Saturday.
I think, yeah, we can all agree. Anyone who's driven before, when the green lights are, I mean, there shouldn't be anybody walking down the track. There shouldn't be anything else out there. If the green is out,
a hot track.
or it's
But
practice,
here-
yeah.
if this would have
just like
happened,
the pits, it's a hot
if this
pit.
would have
It's a
happened at
hot
Wall,
track.
right? If this would have happened at a short track, somebody would have been fired.
We've had people walk on the track with flags, throwing them at people while they're going green.
So where
Yeah.
at Wall?
Yeah,
Like as of late.
like last year.
No. Lately, he's been driving a pace truck.
So
Okay.
well,
I didn't-
well,
Josh beat me to it. There you go.
see, I don't know. I don't recall it, but I'm saying
But I'm not.
Sam's
The
got his
thing
head
is,
down now.
if
Wait,
somebody-
hang on.
It was liking
Let me say this
pictures.
though. I think everyone else here who's driven will agree. We're not looking up into turn 4 that way. We're looking,
No.
more to the left and ahead of us than So you shouldn't be up there because God forbid you roll an ankle or something. You're going to roll right down and get run over. All right, so it's unsafe to be doing that. And now you're talking, and the same thing we're talking about being a hot track. If you have stairs or something hanging off of the flag stand or whatever. I mean, it's the track or NASCAR's responsibility to not have that there or not have a car at speed while that's out there.
somebody should own up to the fact that they dropped the ball on that. And if a fan would have got hit with that or anything, you're talking national news as to just how negligent they were.
Yeah, like, do you not know that there's like a car
Same
going
thing
around?
with
You
your
don't hear the
falling
car.
down. I mean, it's it's no different than working on a high-rise building. You make sure all your stuff is secure and it doesn't fall off. I mean, if you're in the flag stand, you got to make sure that nothing is going to come out of that thing.
Maybe Charlotte Motor Speedway did this just to have us talk about it for the whole week.
That's true.
Yeah, but they're trying to sweep this thing under the rug. They don't want anybody to know about
Okay,
it. I mean, it's
but
Not when it
embarrassing.
comes to this show.
But here's the thing: we've seen multiple times that the traffic lights, the flashing lights,
fall.
whatever, had fallen off.
Like the camera.
We've saw it at Daytona, the flying overhead camera that
Didn't that hurt someone?
That
too?
happened at Charlotte also.
Broke
that
Kyle
did
Busch's
happen at
car.
Charlotte. Yeah, for the 600 a couple
He
years
ran
ago.
over that
Yeah.
cable.
The worst part is that it went over the fans or whatever. And now the one that they had at Charlotte this past weekend was only down the backstretch, I believe.
Well,
that was a cool camera shot, though. Going down
No,
the
it
back.
wasn't because
Really?
you could only keep up with the cars under caution. It does 100 miles an hour. That's great for something as stupid as a football game. But when you have cars doing 200, it's like great. You can see how slow it is.
That's not a bad point. I like it 'cause it's different.
That's what I'm saying. I thought it was cool because
Yeah,
it was
it's-
just like it like followed them.
It was-
Not,
it was too
although it
shady.
wasn't kind of just like camera here. Oh wait, camera here.
It's
you know?
not new technology. TBS tried something like this in the late 90s called their GoCam. I remember them having it at Homestead.
I saw one. They had an RC helicopter that they were using at a track many years ago, and then
until it
No.
flies
Yeah.
into the car and
yeah, but
Yeah, that's the drone camera thing is not going to work for me because that's just going to be another projectile.
I
to
mean,
go
I
off
thought
the
it was cool at
grandstands.
New Egypt. That was pretty cool when they did that.
Man, you guys are
But
freaking.
they never do it on the green flag racing. Though.
Right.
It's only for
Also, on the NASCAR side, Alex Bowman wins the Xfinity race on Saturday night. He was driving for Chip Ganassi Racing, which I think was a partner deal between Hendrick and
with the
Ganassi.
Hendrick suit on.
Right, to try to get Bowman some seat time before, because remember, he only had one truck start at Atlanta this year. Other than that, he was going to go into the 88 car cold turkey next year. For him, his confidence, his legacy, and his brand, which I think is most important, how big of a deal is it for him to actually get a win before getting in Junior's number 88 car next year? JC, big deal, not a big deal at all? What do you think?
big deal because going into that car, you were talking about the Yankees before. It's like Didi Gregorius filling in for Jeter when he
exactly.
retired.
Perfect parallel.
You know, it's you're coming into a car that somebody's leaving that and you got big shoes to fill.
And
Coming
not-
in there
not-
without a win, it's like.
And the
know,
thing is, it's not even in terms of success because that 88 car has not had a lot of success this year,
that was
last
my
year.
point.
So it's like you need something
I was
to
in
be
I
given
was in
that-
Dover
the keys to
2
that
weeks
ride.
ago when they introduced that boy. The place went nuts.
He's going. It doesn't. If he doesn't win anything, they're just gonna be like, "Oh wow, it's just another redneck Jesus season again. No one's gonna win because it's not
Sam,
good. He's
with
not good.
Bowman winning, big deal, not a big deal, good for him.
I like Alex Bowman, and I think he's probably one of the better drivers we have coming up with him and Christopher Bell for the sport. So yeah, spot on, Eric Brennan.
But, and I think that's all I got on the NASCAR side of stuff. They're heading.
Oh
to
no,
town.
hold on. Matt Tiff is moving over to RCR next season to run their third full-time Xfinity gig, and Brendan Jones is going over to Joe Gibbs for the Xfinity side.
Brandon Jones, you said.
We're losing JC for a minute.
Okay.
Right.
JC decided that he needed to break now. He wasn't going to wait any longer for this one. But fortunately for him, we're going to break with him also. When we come back on the other side, we're going to talk about Formula One, which I kind of missed. IndyCar finding a way to shoot themselves in the foot again. I can't believe it. It's just when you think they got things on the up and up, they do something stupid. No, not that dumb. All that and more. We're going to pick JC Duvall's brain a little bit about his future racing, not only for this year, but also next year, and a whole bunch more. You listen to the RPM podcast with Josh, Neil, Sam, and JC will be back in a minute. And I'm Eric Brennan. Don't go anywhere.
Got a question you want answered? Email us at racingpodcastnj@gmail.com.
So spooky. I just want to hang out.
We're going to talk about that. But I'm just going to a gun range, I think, instead of Evergreen. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the RPM
show
podcast.
started, guys.
I know. We'll backtrack and we'll touch on all that. Josh Matthews, Neil Rutt III, Sam Ballard Jr., JC Duvall, and I'm Eric Brennan. And Nick Rendo is still not here. And his face is on the milk cartons.
He's changing his spark plugs.
We're looking for him as much as we can.
He's crying into spark plugs. That's what he's doing.
He probably is. There's probably
Hi,
pictures of
Frank.
him somewhere. So I love Frank. Frank is one of the Bruce and Frank are in terms of like cool dads, and JC of course.
What about my dad?
But
His
your
dad-
dad's
I hope
awesome.
my dad
His
kicks
dad's
your butt
pretty
next
cool.
time
He
he
probably
sees
will.
you now.
No, well wait.
He's pretty cool.
But I consider Neil to be like one of the guys. Like I don't look at him as like
is
a
like
dad.
my dad your grandfather or
Yeah,
something?
no, it's like he's like I don't know. I feel like I'm close to him in age.
You
and
ain't
stuff.
close to him. You're a
It's
little
like
bit taller
JC.
than him.
No, not in height, but in age. Like like I look at Neil the second or Junior, right?
Yes,
Neil Junior.
Junior.
I look at Junior as like one of the guys. I look at JC as like one of the guys. I still look at Frank Rendo as like a cool dad, although he is like one of the guys, and Bruce like one of the guys, which means I'm getting old. Crap. What am I gonna do about this? Drink more. That's the solution to everything. Speaking of drinking more, I did not watch Formula One. I think because I was out drinking somewhere. So, with that, I'm going to turn it over to Sam, who got up and watched the race, and Josh, who handled the race. And I don't know if you guys
I
watched
watched some of
Formula
it.
One, but I
Probably
didn't.
watched like 2 laps.
Come to think of it, that's what I did. I went to a light the night walk on Staten Island, and then I ended up in Applebee's, and I watched the Xfinity race, and that's as far as my night went. We were going to try to go out even further, and I fell asleep in the back of the car, and I said, nope, it is time to go. So that's what I did. So that's why I missed Formula One. So, Josh, take it away.
I just want to say, the whole thing with Nick not being here, I mean, I think it may partially be due to the fact that Vettel retired on lap 5. Now, this is Formula One.
Like playing footsies with me.
Not me. This is like the high tech, world of auto. This is like the best of the best.
Right.
They were changing spark plugs on Vettel's car on the grid.
Yeah, shouldn't you have done that like during warm up?
If you're changing spark plugs,
And
something bigger is a problem.
It's not like we're talking about a backmarker team. We're talking about Ferrari.
Yes.
Like the cream of the crop, like one of the top 3, and they're having this type of problem. I mean, I don't get it.
The past few races, it's gone to.
It's self-destruction.
They're either wrecking
It's
or
really
having a
self-destruction.
problem.
Yeah. Now Raikkonen got kind of ran off the track by Hulkenberg, and I'm gonna blame. Like Nick would probably say this, and I'm actually gonna agree with him because it did actually happen. Anyway, so Raikkonen got pushed off the track. Onto his tires when he came back on were green from all the paint that he was picking up.
Right.
But he I want to say he went back to like 10th or 13th or something. He raced his way back up to 5th to finish. Vettel had some. It was all power issues and everything. I don't know exactly what happened.
It was just like Nick Rendo's Ferrari.
Yeah.
He's always got an issue.
Yeah, exactly. So Verstappen made a bold move early on, got by Vettel, and then Vettel
Sam
shortly
loved that
after
one.
retired.
Sam-
Well, the sad part is his Ferrari's working fine. His Dodge, on the other hand, isn't.
That's why they're not in NASCAR anymore.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So that was the whole issue with Vettel there. I mean, he didn't want. He did not want to get out of the car when they retired it and put it into the pits. I mean, he sat in the car for a while. He is going to be fined by the FIA because he left the track and did not make himself available for interviews with the press.
Is that really a fine? Oh,
yes.
it's just like Marshawn Lynch. I'm just
Yeah.
here so I don't get fined.
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm just here so I won't get fined.
Now,
Well, that's pretty funny.
something I found funny was they called, I believe it was Lee Diffie called, not Lee Diffie, I forget who it was. I'm sorry. Called Verstappen the baby-faced assassin.
Really?
Yeah. Because he was right up on Hamilton, like actually, fighting for the lead there for a few laps, and Verstappen had a hell of a run. Ricardo, came from a little bit farther back to finish up on the podium, which was amazing. Red Bull has come out of nowhere, I think, and really taken over, which has been, really interesting to see, considering how well Ferrari started the season to them, like you said, self-destructing. Mercedes has been fairly consistent the whole way through.
And Red Bull's in the process of trying to lock down Verstappen and Ricciardo long term, at least till 2020. So
And that's not going to happen.
A little bit of a resurgence is key for them.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, I want to say Ocon, though, with Force India, he's only missed the points in one race so far out of like 15 races.
So we've
I think
been talking
16.
about him a lot. He's been coming.
Yeah, he's been up there. He's apparently he's completed 25 consecutive races.
The crazy thing about Force India is, didn't the owner of the team get arrested or he's banned from
Like
his own
3
country?
years ago.
And that team is never in any financial distress. Everybody else is. Everybody else at the bottom of the pile is. But
That's because they're willing to drive pink race cars.
I would drive a pink race car.
Well,
Yeah.
Sorry, Josh.
It's okay. Carlos Sainz, in his final race in the Toro Rosso, spun out on the first lap, ended up off the track. He was done. So that was it for him.
I like Signs. I feel bad for him. I like Toro Rosso too, but hey, you want to know what, man? It is what it is.
Now, off the track news, Felipe Massa upset that Williams is testing with some new young drivers. He actually, despite trying to retire, and then getting sucked back into it, now he doesn't want to retire. He wants to keep his ride, so he's getting ticked
Makes
off
no
that
sense.
they're putting new drivers in to test. I don't know. It's ridiculous.
At some point,
He's like Brett Favre of
Yeah.
F1. Just retire.
At some point, you need to turn the page. And I mean, they asked for a favor for him to come back. He ran probably better than they anticipated him to at some point. But I mean, the performance just hasn't been there. And then they lost Bottas, who was carrying the flag for the team. It's time for them to start looking ahead. It's just like what the New York Giants trying to do with Eli Manning right now. It's time to start turning the page if you want the team to be relevant going forward. And a young, talented, fast driver may be the answer for that. So, sorry, Felipe, but, you upset
Bye,
me.
Felicia.
He upset me when he came back after that wonderful moment of him carrying the Brazilian flag, walking in the rain back to his family.
That moment was crap.
No, it was amazing. It was amazing. If you have a heart and
There
a
were
pulse,
no
then you have
balloons.
tears in your eyes.
There wasn't balloons,
You didn't
though, man.
need
It
balloons,
wasn't amazing.
but if you had a pulse, then that meant something to you. And then he just ruins it all by saying he's
Sam
coming
doesn't
back.
have a pulse.
It's like when Mariano Rivera and Derek Jeter had that moment at the end where, Mariano was finishing up his last save and Jeter came up to the mound and
Andy
relieved
Pettit
him.
was there, too.
If it came, yeah, there you go. If they came back at the end of the night or at the end of the year, and Mariano's like, you know what, I'm going to come out one more year. It's like, you just ruined that whole moment. It didn't mean what it meant. And then he comes back and he runs like crap, and now he ruins his thing. Just like Brett Favre. He just did a great example. Favre had a great career, and then he comes back.
See,
and
sometimes I have good things, but sometimes I just don't.
No, a lot of
You want to
times
know
he
what? When this crap happens in motorsports, I am more thankful that we have Morgan Shepherd each and every day because he just consistently always out there.
Or Norm Benning.
I haven't noticed.
Just smashes through people to make a race.
I haven't
Kind
noticed
of like
either.
Eric Brennan, just smashing all the time.
Speaking of something else that I'm upset about, IndyCar. What
Oh,
in the
geez.
hell are you doing? Like they come. All right, so just brief summary. IndyCar always finds a way to shoot themselves in the foot. And when they're on the up and up, they got a young, hip American champion from Nashville, Tennessee, representing the sport well for Penske. They got a newer car. It's actually the same car, but with different bodywork. It's apparently faster. It's not the Nick
Wider,
Ricciardo. Yeah, it's
lower.
not that crazy. The drivers like it. It looks faster. It looks more sporty. Looks more racing. Now it comes out, according to Racer.com and Robin Miller, that Watkins Glen, who was one of the original IndyCar tracks, back in the Formula One days, Watkins Glen held a staple in open wheel racing in America. They're having a problem negotiating a proper race date with IndyCar because the Glen used to be a 4th of July weekend race. Then it became a Labor Day weekend race when the Boston deal fell through a couple years ago. And Watkins Glen saying, hey, the attendance numbers aren't where we want it to be. We think with a different race date, we can make it work. And IndyCar saying, nah. And now it sounds like that the Glen will be removed from the 2018 schedule if an agreement can't be reached. And the latest reports from Sports Business Journal say they're rather far apart. What the hell?
I love the Glen. Don't matter what series it is. It could be little what are those Skip Barber cars?
Mm-hmm.
It's just awesome running.
You know what?
It doesn't matter if you're on the short circuit or the long circuit. When they go through the back and everything. I just love that track.
It's perfect for IndyCar. It really is. I mean,
you carry so much speed through those corners, and it just
these situations just remind me of the small business who approaches the major corporation for a licensing deal, and instead of accepting the fact that they need them, they act as if it's the other way around. IndyCar needs these tracks. Even though Watkins Glen isn't an oval, which IndyCar's hurting for ovals, they need to figure out a way to make these deals work. And then, just grow from there. I mean, if you look at your fantasy IndyCar schedule, it's 25 races with an even blend of road and street courses and ovals. And Watkins Glen is a premier oval in your head that should be on the calendar. It's there. They're going to lose it because they just can't strike a deal with them. If I'm IndyCar, I
heard that too, right?
What?
You called it.
I didn't know Watkins Glen was an oval.
That's premier road course.
Sign me
if
up
I'm,
for that one.
If I'm IndyCar, I just say, you know what? Take whatever day you want. January, November. I don't
run
care.
on Wednesday.
Whatever.
Take my firstborn.
But do you understand what I'm saying? You finally have some momentum. Plus, if they lose that race, they don't have anything covering that portion of the country. I mean, and I'm trying to do this off the top of my head. You have Indy, and I'm trying to think I think that's it up in the Northeast.
That's all you got, just Indy.
So you're covering that sector of the country because they lost New Hampshire.
Pocono doesn't count?
Pocono, yeah, but if you want to cover a little bit further north, when they had Toronto, they kind of would overlap each other. But Toronto was in doubt for quite some time. They may be back as well, but they don't know what they're doing. Instead, they're looking at Mexico and maybe a race in China and all this other international garbage. Which, it'll bring in money, but you're not going to cater to the American fan base.
Yeah.
Let's just run them at Singapore.
Does anybody run at Vancouver anymore?
No. Rumors to replace Watkins Glen or Portland International Raceway. So you're going from one end of the north to the other on the west side.
I don't think I know that track.
Or west perhaps side. If the street race in Nashville can materialize fast enough, they may look to use that.
Tonight?
What about the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval?
I want to go. I want to go. It looks bad.
I quit the show.
I thought we talked about it a little bit last week.
Sam, I'm going to go down there. We're going to go to the Roval.
Well, you got to see the layout firsthand and the chicanes and whatnot. What do you think?
I don't like the chicanes.
They're going to be effed.
I don't get it. Parker Kligerman was highly against it on Twitter.
Who cares what Parker Kligerman thinks?
But then again, you can't really take that first left corner. When you go through the tri-oval, you're making a left corner, a sharp left corner. You cannot get down from 200 miles per hour all the way to 30 to make that.
They could try.
But then you're going to see guys going, boom, by. I'd rather wow, where'd that guy go?
I'd rather see him try it and it fail and then say, okay, let's add the the chicane's paved, it's there. But just
didn't they try it with AJ?
I don't know.
AJ Allmendinger
Probably.
tried it?
I'm sure they did.
I wanted to say Dinger, but try again. Yeah, let's just put concrete barriers there just in case. We'll make it exciting.
I'm on board with that.
Bring Ambrose to try.
There you go. Yeah, he'll figure it out.
He's going to be a ringer for it.
Speaking of which, down under, I don't know if any of you saw it, but there's a video out there which I love, and it was from qualifying from the Bathurst 1000, and it was Scott McLaughlin in the Penske Pair team.
Fast lap.
Fastest lap ever at Mount Panorama at a 2:03. Sam, I don't know if you had a chance to see it yet.
You tagged me in it.
I have.
It was amazing. It's here's my argument to people who don't like racing. It's hard to find an optic or a visual effect of something that shows somebody being on the edge and it working.
He used every inch of that racetrack. Yeah. He was in the grass and still was gaining speed down the straightaways.
It was unbelievable. JC, have you ever done any type of road racing before or anything?
I haven't.
Just some karting event you've done before, right?
Go-karts, yeah, but not really anything.
Wacky Wednesdays.
Is that something that appeals to you? Is that something you want to do one day?
Oh, I love road course.
On any level?
Absolutely.
I think he'll race anything.
We'll just go right
anything.
We'll go to Englishtown. We'll just do the track day.
We'll be on Lemon's car soon.
Yeah. Or Sam will take us all to the GoPro Motorplex.
Yeah, I want to come.
They have a drive and drive, right, Sam?
They do.
Road trip.
All right. Yeah, I'm in.
I've seen where they have like an all-star charity event there with Cup
They
guys.
have all the and they beat each other up.
I mean, I'm excited. I mean, I'm happy. I get to go there this weekend for the World Karting Association, and I am so incredibly nervous.
I feel like we've talked about these guys on the show before, the WK.
Shout out.
We have.
Yep.
We have. Oh, before I forget, David Reynolds and Luke Yolden won the Bathurst 1000. We told you won the pole. Might as well tell you won the race. As far as GoPro, I'm so freaking nervous for this. Like, you have no idea. I'm losing sleep over this because I'm just panicking over how
You get to
impressive
announce
these
kids.
guys are.
Just have fun with them.
They're not all kids, though.
Well, yeah, I know they have higher age groups, but just it's karting.
And then-
just do the same thing you do at Wall Stadium. Just do it for national touring.
But I think there's such a
Touring Association.
there's such a massive audience behind it, and I don't understand it yet. And I think when I get there, I'm going to understand it because there's so many competitors, so many participants, there's so many like karting news outlets that cover this thing, and I never understood it. And then when I go on like ekartingnews.com, who's going to be live streaming the audio, and I read it, a lot of it looks like gibberish to me because I'm not familiar with the kart chassis and all this stuff. And apparently it's the finale for the Manufacturer Cup and the World Karting Association in the 2017
I just love how
year.
finally you get a gig with these guys and then you care about them.
I always cared. Because
I didn't know we talked about WK. I would have talked about it. I love go-karts.
We have in the past because I know that it breeds so much talent, and the racing is rather competitive. It's almost like quarter midget racing. Like, I didn't know how good it was till I went there and saw it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, once I started seeing a couple of these karting events in person, it wasn't even with WK. It was with a sister series. Well, I shouldn't say sister, maybe like a third cousin once removed series. Then it began to open up my eye to me like how much of a big deal it is because I couldn't tell.
Huge. This is huge.
And I mean, JC, it's probably like, you know, from the grandstand perspective, like people look at four-cylinder racing and they're like, oh, some people, not me, but some people, it's just, you know, four cylinders. Once you're involved and you're in there, you're like, no, like this is a whole new world. Like it's a race car. It doesn't matter what
Whole
type of car it is.
new world.
Yeah. One thing that people don't realize from four cylinders is like because we don't have the big motor that makes that
That's the
big
third time I've done that.
sound
That's
like
right.
of
My
an
head on the light.
8-cylinder. People think they don't go fast, but they're running comparable times with
The factory
factory
stocks.
stocks.
Yeah.
They're all around between 16 O's and 16 5s around that range.
On a one-third
around
of a
the
mile track.
Yeah.
Which is wild.
With a four-banger. Not a V8, with a four-banger.
Yeah.
So now the big question is, we talked about this off there, what are you doing for the rest of the year?
Well, this year, I was running the four cylinders for the Spooky schedule.
Car count's been great.
Car count's been great, and I've been reading in online. Fans been liking the racing a lot. I've missed the grandstand.
Really?
I'm a grandstand guy before I'm a racer. You know, I kind of got pushed into racing because of my friends and stuff like that, and I've had a great year.
God, your friends are so awful, JC.
We have fun this year. We did more than we expected we could do.
Well, you finished like fifth in points, right?
I'm fifth in points, only 1 point out of fourth, and because my car broke in the last race, and I kind of like coasted around. I should have finished fourth, but
You're going to the banquet, right?
I am.
There you go.
I'll be there. But we decided to park it for Spooky. I miss my family and the grandstands. That's what I've been doing for years. That's where I've been. I like what I do. I like enjoying my drinks and hanging out with my people, and we do a lot of fun things. Eric is always talking about, he sees us from the tower.
I love it. I love it. And my question to you is, as somebody who many people, and that's why I have all the respect in the world for you, and I'm not saying this because you're sitting next to me. It's true. There are so many, they call them like armchair quarterbacks or backseat drivers, whatever you want to call it. People actually said to you, you know what, why don't you go out there and do it? You're one of the few who actually said, okay. And that's what you did. You went and you got a car, and you ended up becoming a race car driver overnight, and a good one at that. Fourth in points in a car that's drawing 16 to 18 cars a week is something to be proud of. Do you want to tell anybody else who, and I don't know how many racers or fans listen to this, is that really an experience that you encourage any vocal fan to get on board with? If you think it's so easy, try it yourself a little bit, and you'll have a whole new appreciation. Do you have a whole new appreciation for what those guys do?
Oh, absolutely. I remember the first time I went out in a four-cylinder, and I didn't know what I was doing. When these guys lapped me and they went around me, I was like, whoa. It's a 4-cylinder race. They look like lawnmowers from the grandstand. You know what I mean? And they're going around me like, boom, boom, boom. It was a whole new experience for me. And for me to get to the point where I'm at now, that we were competitive. We raced third in points for mostly the whole season. Towards the end, we have a couple mechanical failures and a little bit of bad luck.
The wheels came off.
The wheels
literally.
came off and everything else. But, it happens to everybody. But it was cool to be able to get out there and actually do okay. I was happy, I'm grateful for my friends and everybody that helped me out.
See, for me, I always thought I never raced because my family never had the money, or I never raced because I never got the opportunity. Josh gave me an opportunity to race one day. I realized I never raced because I'm not good enough. Like I just, and then after I did it, I'm like, okay, this is fun. I don't want to do this for a living. It's like I kind of proved to myself that I think I'm doing what I should be doing in the sport, and that's just talking about
but
it.
That's kind of what I'm where I'm feeling like today. Like the whole season was like stressful. It takes a lot of work during the week and getting the car ready and making sure that you're going to be there and everything's going to be in order for you to do a 10 to 12 minute race. It takes a whole week worth of work. When my weekends for the past 10 years been like, let's grab a 12-pack and go to the track on Saturday.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so much easier. And I lived a great experience this year. I had a lot of fun, and we were able to do okay, but I miss my family in the stands. I have to do this.
So now, taking Spooky off, usually at Turkey Derby, you got two races, one on Friday, one on Sunday. And then, although we don't know anything official, I will speculate that perhaps Wall will be in full operation for 2018. Nothing signed, sealed, or delivered. I'm speculating based on some of the energy that I've seen at the track.
Why do you got to jinx it like that?
I'm just saying, if I jinx it that bad, then I might as well just call
Be
it
out of a
career.
job.
Yeah.
Do you have any plans for Turkey Derby? And are you even thinking as far ahead as 2018?
Well, Turkey Derby, I decided to let my crew take over the car and have fun with it. Aaron Lineman and his father, Neil Rutt Jr., helped me the whole year.
Booster seats.
And
But you want to talk about adjusted a seat for two different people. That might take the day off on Saturday
This
to go from
guy's-
Aaron, who's been on the show before. Aaron's a big dude, to Neil, who is a not so big dude.
well, Neil might run the Friday race, and then it'll take Saturday for them to set up the car up differently for Aaron on Sunday for the 75 lapper. But that's what they do. They've been doing it for me every year. They know how to work with these cars, and for me to say thank you to them, take the car and have fun.
Wild.
And
Incredible
just,
gesture.
and it's just I had a good time the whole year, and we did good as a team. So the only thing I could think of doing for them is just letting them have fun. So they're all for it. They're all on board with it.
If it's any consolation to you, Aaron did catch up with me and said he didn't say it was final, but he said he was trying to get in your car for Turkey Derby. And knowing him and his 24 Hours of Lemons experience, the extra distance race should suit his style.
Yeah.
You might get a trophy out of that deal with him.
Yeah.
Like if somebody's going to be able to do it, it might be him.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I pitched to him is, hey, I think Evergreen's looking to have that enduro, that crazy enduro. I know Hellberg and I don't know if Elliott was looking at it, but Hellberg was thinking about it if he can get enough people. Man, if we can get a car together, amongst all of us, Sam, you can come on back up north. You can get your racing fix
like a
in.
12-hour race or something like that.
Yeah, I think it's going to be like 4 drivers per team.
Ford into it.
It's like I'm not mechanically inclined to put a car together, but I could work on trying to get the finances in place maybe to do it. And let's just have some fun. That's what it's all about.
Well, I have a
When is
car
it?
and I got some mechanic friends.
Yeah, it's like, we can make it
We
happen.
got some drivers. So
I don't know. I don't know when the date is because it's not set in stone just yet, Sam. And I'll try to look it
I
up.
might look into that.
But I'm trying to garner enough people to just.
Why do
give
you
it
got
a
a
shot.
blue wall on me like that?
So, because I don't think they want to make it. I went to the wrong website. I don't think that they want to make it
Just the
public
camera.
yet, because of the fact that they're trying to make sure that they have the pre-registration forms filled out before they
Yes.
commit to the race. Josh has like a soundbite party coming my way with all the dumb things that I've said today.
Yep.
I still don't know what I'm doing. JC, you're the man. I'm glad you had able to hang out with us, have some fun.
Thanks for having me.
So,
He's just saying you're the man because you didn't say
One
what
last
was on
question.
TV on a screen.
Wall Banquet, you'll be there.
I will be there.
November 12th. If you didn't get your invite, that's a you problem. Now, if I was to reach into my pocket and he was a small little glass bottle of Fireball, is that a poor gesture or a good gesture?
Excellent gesture.
And will you share?
No.
That's my boy.
Ah.
I'm thinking about it.
All right. On that note, what have we learned today? Sam?
Oh, I'm glad you started with me first so they don't have to use mine.
Yeah.
I learned today that Eric's mom doesn't like to change the input up.
That's going to be like all of ours. Like,
No, I beat you guys to it.
JC, what have you learned?
I learned that the cats can mess up the remote control.
this place sucks. That was mine.
Neil?
Oh, man, no. You skipped me. You got to skip me now.
All right. Eric?
If the announcing day doesn't work out, I guess I have a future in tech support over the phone. So that's a good thing. By the way,
No, just let him rant on.
if you don't know, what we're talking about is just before we get ready to record, my
I'll
mother.
post it.
It's on Neil's Snapchat. Which Neil, what's your
I don't
Snapchat
even know.
username?
Neil 15, I think.
Okay.
Hit the light again.
My mom called me because something happened, a television remote,
the
and I
cat
had to walk her
stepped on the
through it.
remote.
She thinks the cat stepped on it. I don't know. But I got her through it. And I'm sending her an invoice.
All right. So, Neil, anything? No.
Apparently now we're going to, if it's true, we're going to do a 12-hour race with everyone.
I'm trying. Every time I look up Evergreen
RPM
Speedway,
podcast
I end
all
up in the
over.
Monroe, Washington
Go on.
website.
All right.
Got to get the
Facebook.
rocket ready for that race.
Then,
Eric learned it's more important to be sexy and edgy and cool than anything else.
What is going on?
Accurate.
I learned that Eric puts it in the wrong hole, and I learned that Watkins Glen is a premier oval.
The premiere over, you got me. I don't know what the first one's about, and I'm actually really scared.
About recording. When we talked about, you
Yeah.
know, I've been on every episode, and you wouldn't know what to do without me. And
You've known that for a while, though. I made that mistake a year ago now, probably.
Yeah.
But we don't, forget anything here.
I know. You're all like Jimmy Spencer when it comes to my career and the stupid things come out of my mouth. It's great.
Better than things you put in your mouth.
On that note, Sam, I'll see you in a couple days down in North Carolina. You son of a... Neil, it was good to have you back. Thank you, bro. JC,
back
you're the
next
man.
week.
Thank you,
So,
guys.
I owe you a couple drinks. Josh, you know I love you. I'm just going to shake your hand.
Hey.
Anyway.
Real quick, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We're getting those likes. We're getting those views. Hit us up, please.
And share us.
You mean the stuff? Never mind. I got nothing.
Another audio bite. Thank you.
I'm trying not to wipe my face because Neil says I do it all the time. So good night, everybody.